Okay, I'm so thrilled to be here today. And CWEA professionals, we're going to have a great time today. We're going to talk about all sorts of things that are important around conversations and the chemistry and neurochemistry of conversation. So I'm thrilled to be here to have a chance to talk with you. And by the way, my name is Judith Glaser. And I want to share a little bit about my background because it is unusual in the field. I am an organizational anthropologist, and not a lot of people know what that is. And I've spent a whole lifetime looking at and exploring and even excavating, in one case, 6,000-year-old Neolithic site. So human beings 6,000 years ago. I have an anchor in that part of the world and that time of history all the way up to the present and then looking into the future. What I look at is how people interact with each other, how they have conversations that build their culture, that build their brains, that create their heart-people connection, and all the things that could get in the way when we're just trying to co-create with others and live a long life. So what we're going to talk about today is the heart and soul of the work that I've spent a lifetime doing starting at the age of 11 to today. So this is not something that just passed by and I thought, well, I like that bird, I think I'll take it home for a while, and then another bird. No, this is an absolute addiction that I have to studying the neuroscience of conversations and helping people understand from that how to create a world where people have not only health physically, mentally, spiritually, and in every way possible, even in the health of a company. California's water professionals are an organization of people that are growing constantly into the next level of greatness that they can be and that they can create in the world. That you are incredible people who take care of for us water, which is probably one of the most important sources of not nutrients, but like a foundation of everything that we have and everything we do. So you're protecting water for us, and so you're very important to us. And so conversational intelligence gives you the skills to ensure that every conversation makes a difference, that the outcomes that you want to create in the world can happen. It gives you tools and insights into what you can do every single day, and I even say in the minute, every minute, with other human beings that can shift the course of your life and can also impact and shift the course of the life of others in your community and beyond your community. So you play such an important role for us who connect with anything that has to do with the source of life, which is water. Okay. I think the most important thing that I discovered when I was doing my work, and I still am and I will be for the rest of my life, on conversational intelligence, but the most important thing I discovered is the simplest thing that I discovered, and that is that human beings have 3 levels of conversation. Now, some people might say, but what are you talking about 3 levels of conversation? We talk about information, we talk about friendship, we talk about whatever we want. Why do you call it levels? And so I call it levels for this reason. Human beings have a way, when they meet another human being, to connect. Now, sometimes we forget that connecting has anything to do with conversations. We're just here to share information. Well, yeah, level 1 is transactional conversations, and it is about information. But that only gets us started, all right? So we have, let me give you the framework so that you'll be able to hold it in your head, and as I talk it through, you'll be able to see yourself in these levels. So level 1 is transactional. It's asking and telling. So the interaction dynamic is you ask me questions, and I tell you answers, and we do an ask and tell. That's the dance that we do, ask and tell, but that's for transactional. Level 2 is positional. Positional takes us up a level now because it's not just about information sharing, but it's about a point of view. And if I want to influence you to a position, then I have a different conversation. I'm advocating and inquiring. Again, it's 2 types of energy. It's a pull and a push energy. Advocating is a push, and inquiring is a pull. But now it's about a point of view. What's been missing, and we all know this. You know, we do this every day. We share information, we have a position, we talk to each other. Once I realized that there was a level 3 that people didn't know about, or didn't talk about, or didn't put into a conversational framework, everything changed. In this level, we have the ability to influence each other because we choose to do it. And instead of pushing and pulling to advocate or to inquire, I'm sharing and I'm discovering. It's a whole different energy. When I agree to share something important with you or discover with you, I've now moved to a higher level in my conversational eloquence, But it's not just about how well it looks, it's what it does inside. Sharing and discovering opens up the brain, the prefrontal cortex and the heart, to give us access to a playground inside or a space inside where when two people are talking, they're actually co-creating new things that never existed before. They're sharing things they've never thought of before. Their relationship is more intense than it ever was before. And people have access to parts of our brain that give us wisdom, integrity, sensitivity, strategy, empathy. It gives us things that make us the most human that we could be in the world. But we don't always access them because we need trust in order to be in level 3 with others. So transaction, position, and then this is the most beautiful place, it's transformational. A lot of people ask that question about where does transformational fit in? Is there a place for it? Everywhere is for it, is what I'm saying, what I always say. Because let's say you're working out in the field, you find some things happening, and you find a problem, and all of a sudden you get caught in something that's too heavy, you can't pick it up, and whatever. What do you do when that happens? Do you sit and just, sit by yourself? Do you ask for help? Or do you engage your team in another way to help? Transformational conversations are not just about going to this woo-woo place or na-na place. It's about people working together in a fast, quick response system because they're connected so deeply that you know how to get somebody to move if you're in trouble. That's the trouble side. But if you're not in trouble, but you're thinking in new ideas, you want people that are not judging you heavily about the crazy things that you're interested in because we need those crazy things to inspire us to the next level of greatness. So transformation can be almost any minute of the day where you choose to engage and get the best out of people and get surprises and get insights and get wisdom and get empathy and get transparency. That part of our brain can help in any situation that you're in. Troubled situation, great situations, or challenging situations. We call it transformational. It doesn't mean that every minute has to be a transformation. But guess what? It usually turns out that way. The prefrontal cortex was discovered, and I don't know the exact date, but it used to be that people talked about the triune brain, that we only have 3 brains, and that was McLean, and he came up with this in the 60s. And so it was the lower brain, the reptilian brain, which includes the limbic system as well as the lower part of the brainstem. Actually, it was divided. I'm going to say it differently. There was the reptilian brain, the limbic brain, and the neocortex. Okay, so that's 3. And the reason why I stopped for a minute is that people are arguing now about whether the amygdala is part of the limbic brain or whether it's its own brain. So I had to stop and think about what the new thinking is. They're so connected to each other. So, but the triune brain was the reptilian brain, the limbic brain, which is emotional, and then the neocortex, which is language and what people call left and right and that kind of thing. Well, there's a gentleman who discovered that this brain and this brain were not part of the same brain. It was a separate brain. That they started to do fMRI studies to find out that this brain's capacity was different. It functioned differently than this brain. And the notion is that now we have an executive brain. But the challenge is that this brain, as opposed to the others, it's so sensitive and so new and so young that it doesn't open up in many situations. This is always open. The neocortex wants to talk, and it wants to have ideas, and it wants to know knowledge, and those kind of things. It's stimulated all the time. The limbic brain is always in because we have to have emotions. We have to map the world around us. We have to have social interactions. We have to remember everybody. There's so many things that this part of the brain has to be turned on 24/7. This is not a 24/7 brain, number one. It can be, but it's not usually. In fact, if we use it up a lot, you do get tired after a while. You kind of use up some of the energy. But this part of our brain takes us into the future in how we interact with others. It's what I call the we-centric part of the brain. You bring others into your world when this is on in an easier way. Your ability to engage with others, your ability to think with others, your ability to question and challenge without feeling threatened with others. But it only opens when it feels safe. So the heart picks up whether it's safe or not. Sometimes the heart is like this. It's all over the place, and it feels ragged because it's scared that the person that you're going to be talking to is a threat. And when that happens, this brain says, not for me today. I'm not going to open up because when you use it and could be used and abused, this part of our brain goes into protection. And so it's a very, very, very special part of our brain that we now need to learn how to create environments in order to make it feel safe, in order to activate it. Conversational intelligence is a new intelligence, just like we had emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence. Conversational intelligence is the body of work. It's a way of being now. I don't even call it. Somebody said, what do you use conversational intelligence for? And I had to stop and think, everything. It is the medium through which we connect with other human beings. If we don't have this language, we don't then engage in the depth of another human being, and we can become a solo practitioner in the world. Conversations connect us. It's the golden thread that keeps us alive and keeps us in the world in connecting, navigating, and growing with other human beings. Conversation is very what I call we-centric. It's not just for one person, but there's something that happens when two people connect. The energy fields, and I'm saying some people might call that woo-woo, but when people stand within 10 feet of each other, they can feel each other's energy. And if that energy feels good in a conversation, you will start to map. And I'm going to tell everybody this because I want you all to know that this is true. I didn't make it up. And it's very fascinating. When I meet somebody new, like I'm meeting you, in my brain, there's going to be a little dot that gets created. And every time we interact, more information is going to be stored in the same place in my brain where the first meeting happened. And I will now have a sense of you. And every time we come into connection through conversation, we'll be able to add more here. And I now have a picture of you. Every time I come see you, it's going to be all of that history created here in my little brain. And now I'm interacting. Conversations are what pull us together, enable us, once we've established a good connection, to share and discover, to invent, to live life beautifully with another human being. Those people that make good connections through conversation live longer lives. And how do I know that? We now have research that says that when people do this, if somebody was born today and they were very good at conversational intelligence, interacting with other human beings in healthy ways, that their chance of living to 100, I used to say 139, it's now 150. Wow. It was on Charlie Rose's show that when we create healthy conversations, it's like pouring medicine, healthy medicine into our body, all over our body, because conversations touch our heart, they touch whether we freeze, they touch all sorts of. The more we create and understand what a healthy conversation is, the longer our life will be, the happier our lives will be, the more full and robust our lives will be. And we are creating epigenetic changes at the same time so that the next generation will receive the goodness of having this part of the brain hardwired and accessible. And so we're really evolving through conversation. Epigenetic changes. So wouldn't it be nice that when you have a difficult conversation with somebody that you're working with, that you plan to do something together, you have a partner here who's out in the field and you're doing some water project, but the person forgot to bring X, Y, and Z that you asked them to bring. And now you're stuck. You don't have what you need. Now I'm creating a situation, right? You could get mad at the person. You could do all sorts of things. Or you could actually, even before you come to the field, say, hey, let's check our box and make sure we have everything. Conversational intelligence gives us the wisdom to know that it's not just an interaction that we have in the moment, but we can actually plan to create great interactions and great conversations with people with a little bit of priming, so that changes the whole experience that we have with that person on a project. Conversational intelligence gives us the ability to plan together, to set it up so that we partner in ways that are going to be really effective for both of us. It makes us more conscious of the other person, because conversation is about, it's a communication with another person. And so, as far as I can see, the people that are working on difficult challenges every day, or who are working on projects, or just being human with each other, the more we can get in front of the curve of what might be happening, and that's what language lets us do. There's a past and a present and a future. We're not just in the moment. Conversations helps us get in front of the curve and start to shape environments so that we have great experiences, because I'll go back to epigenetic changes again. The more we have those good experiences, the more we leapfrog the last generation. leapfrog. It's very easy to go backwards. Backwards was we act like animals. Think about it. That's where we came from. We eat each other. Think about it. So we don't want to be out in the field doing important water things and start to eat each other because we don't like somebody for some reason. No, we want to find a partner that we're going to do stuff and we're going to come home that day and say, yes, that was our best day. Look how many projects we did together. We were so good. That's why it's important. The more you do healthy interactions with people, the more you have great days, the more you change your DNA, the more we zoom to the next universe together. So conversational essentials, we've come up with, in my research, by the way, I started this research in the 80s on companies, and the companies let me experiment with them. Thank goodness. And it turned into this work that was great. But I had five conversational essentials that if people practice them every day with everybody, in other words, it becomes a way of life. It's what I call beingness, right? If you practice these essentials, then the quality of your life is going to change. The quality of your conversations are going to change. So the first one is called listening to connect. So what is listening to connect? It doesn't everybody, we listen to connect? No. Most people, when they're listening, are judging while they're listening. So the first thing I do is I look at you and say, well, am I going to like this person? Or they talk too fast? Or and then my head goes to, I really need to buy that in the store. And then you come back and your listening has gone away and now you have to catch up. So listening is not traditionally listening to connect. It's listening to judge and figure out my day, right? While you're talking to somebody else. So listening to connect causes you to go and connect with the person outside and leave the rest of the world behind. And when you do that, the person feels the intensity of your focus on them. And when that happens, it makes it easier for them then to communicate what's on their mind. They can put together their thoughts in a much better way when you listen to connect. When you listen to judge, you will cause people to stutter. You'll cause people to withhold. You'll cause people to be superficial and abstract. So the quality of the conversation goes really down when you're listening to judge and really up when you're listening to connect. And you say, well, like that's all I have to do is change how I think when I'm with somebody and I'm listening? Yes. Now, it takes a little practice because your mind will always go back to judge. In fact, I'm going to give people an exercise if you'd like to really take this on. For an hour, get a group of people together, have somebody present, and I want you to have people on this chart that's marked at the bottom so they can put at different times what happens. Try to listen to connect, and when you catch your mind going out of connect, mark something like down. Just put a light down on the paper, and then go back up, and watch how many times you drop out and you go into judge, because we are so patterned for that. Well, you can go on the web and type in www.conversationalintelligence.com, and you will go to our website. And on our website, you will see some videos, you'll see interviews, you're going to see handouts, you're going to see all sorts of things with neuroscientists, people that I've been talking to who have built out this body of work with me. You're going to end up being so excited that you took a look at that, but you're going to be more excited if you go to Amazon and you pick up the book so that you can put it in your hands, you can hold it, you can see how it flows. Exercises like what I talked about and stories about people that you might know, like Angela Arns who went from Burberry to Apple. I spent a whole chapter on her because I worked with her for 20 years, and her wisdom is just brilliant. So you're going to find so much good stuff to experiment with. You're going to learn about the dashboard and the experimenter. That's actually a part of our tools. So I invite you to take on a challenge, figure out which part in the book excites you most, and then start your 30-day challenge. And I'm even going to say, if you'd like to write to me if you have a good story. I am collecting stories now from all over the world, 149 countries, of people experimenting with this book and with the principles. And so I'd love to have you step up and have a little courage to try it on and see what you can do to enhance and change your life.